In this presentation, we will be looking at galaxies and the types of galaxies that are found and recorded in large telescopes. This particular galaxy is known as the Andromeda Galaxy. Outside our Milky Way, it is the only one that you can see with an unaided eye in a very dark place. This galaxy is known as a spiral type of galaxy. It has a large massing of stars at its center. That's known as its nucleus. In the plane of the galaxy, this thing is somewhat shaped like a pancake. In the plane of the galaxy, we have these things that are called arms. And the degree at which those arms are wrapped around the nucleus and the size of that nucleus is the way that they are designated, the type of galaxy. And you should know these types of galaxies in a very broad general sense. Also within this photograph are two other smaller galaxies. These galaxies are kind of basketball or football shaped, and they are known as ellipticals. Notice they don't have any arms. They're mainly a large cloud with a definitely an identifiable center to them. Those are elliptical galaxies. And these galaxies were first classified by Edwin Hubble. Edwin Hubble grew up in Wheaton, Illinois, not far from us. Hubble Middle School is named after him in Wheaton, as well as the Hubble Space Telescope, because of Hubble's work with galaxies. And first of all, identifying them. And these are the three major categories, two major categories, one having two subcategories. And this is the way that he classified them. There are some galaxies that don't quite fit. Plus, there's one more small division of galaxies I should point out. They're called the irregular galaxies. They have no pattern that's describable on this chart. So this is sometimes called the tuning fork diagram. And on the left side, we see the ellipticals. They're one large mass of stars with a definite center and stars around them, so they're globe-shaped, or they're somewhat flattened, as we see here. And the distinguishing between them is the degree at which they are round or the degree at which they're flattened. A galaxy that is designated E0 is a galaxy that is pretty well round, spherical in shape. And as the galaxy gets a little flatter, the numbers starts to increase until we get to this thing that looks somewhat like a cigar. It's lenticular or lens in shape, kind of looks like the lens of your eye in its shape. It is called an E7. So these are all elliptical galaxies, and they are just distinguished from each other by the fact that how flat they are. As then we move into galaxies that are spirals, we have this S0 galaxy, which somewhat resembles E0. They're very tightly wrapped arms around a nucleus. Notice as we go up the spiral band here, we go SA, an SB, and an SC. And here's how we distinguish between these galaxies, and it somewhat works the same way in the other side too, the barred spirals. These spiral galaxies tend to have the nucleus, and the degree at which that nucleus happens to be wrapped, or the degree at which that nucleus is large, and the arms are wrapped up in it, that is the degree at which we use these letters. Letter S little a is a nucleus that is very big and the arms are tightly wrapped. And as we get out here to SC, the very small nucleus and arms are loosely wrapped around it. The SBs are somewhat there in the middle. The barred spirals has a bar in the center, a barred spiral, and it works the same way. A large nucleus with a bar on it and arms somewhat tightly wrapped. They are letters SBA. Notice the designation A is the same, and the B stands for the barred spiral. The SB little b is the medium wrapped with a smaller nucleus, and then we get to the barred spiral that is a small nucleus, and the arms are much more loosely wrapped. And we also then have the irregulars, which really do not fit into any of these categories. So the ellipticals from E0 to E7, separated in designation by how round or how flat they are. The spirals from S0 to SC, designated by the nucleus and the wrapping of the arms. And the barred spirals have a bar of material and have the arms wrapped again. So here's another sort of diagram of these different types of galaxies. Notice that the S0 and the E0 galaxies look somewhat similar, and notice the barred spirals in this tuning fork arrangement somewhat resemble the regular spirals. Nucleus is different as we go from SA to SC, and the arms are more loosely wrapped. And here we can see another drawing of the same. I give you a visual representation of them, and the Hubble tuning fork diagram with actual photographs in it, noticing that we see these galaxies. Notice this particular SA galaxy, we are not seeing it face on, we're seeing it edge on. And we don't see all galaxies in the same orientation. In other words, sometimes we see the edge of their galaxy. Sometimes we see the face of the galaxy, meaning we see the spiral arms. And here are some examples of an elliptical that is rated to be an E1 type of galaxy. Notice that it's not quite perfectly round and not flattened. Here's another elliptical. Notice that it is much more flattened, and we just do that by comparing the length of the long dimension of the galaxy with the short dimension of the galaxy, and that gives us the rating of how much it is out of round. Mathematically, we can measure those two and divide them with each other, and that tells us how much out of round, and then they are classified according to that. One of the most spectacular spirals is this one. Notice the arms are somewhat tightly wrapped around this galaxy. A nice sized nucleus. This is known as the catalog number Messier 81, beautiful spiral galaxy. In contrast, we have this galaxy that is a barred spiral. Notice its arms are relatively tightly wrapped around, only two arms around this nucleus of this particular barred spiral. One of the most famous spirals is this one, known as the Sombrero Galaxy. We are seeing it edge on, so here is the plane of this particular galaxy. Notice how full of dust this particular galaxy is. This somewhat resembles the plane of our own galaxy. That when we look up into it, we see these dark regions that are dust blocking the view of the galaxy, and we have this nucleus. The arms are pretty tightly wrapped around this galaxy. And we also happen to have this galaxy that is really not elliptical, not spiral, not barred spiral. Notice there's no defined nucleus to it. It has this strange pattern that doesn't fit really in any of the Hubble structure. And so we have this other classification for galaxies that don't seem to fit. In this particular case, it is known as an irregular galaxy. So these galaxies were classified by Edwin Hubble. It's important to take a look at this diagram and to be able to identify a drawing of a galaxy from identify the drawing just generally, and they'll be obvious. If I give you an SC galaxy, SC spiral, it'll definitely have a small nucleus and very loosely wrapped arms. These particular pictures here are good examples of what you might see on an assessment, on a quiz, a test that shows you that you can tell me that you know the differences between the types of galaxies.